Question leader of this St. John's team, the heart and soul of this group, the guy that Coach Pitino brought with him from Iona to run his ball club.
And the big fella Joel Soriano wins the tip for St. John's. And here is Jenkins. Knocks down his first shot of the game, a three. And Jenkins shooting 51% from the floor, coach, in the last 9 games.
And he's found his stroke. I saw this team earlier in Charleston at the tournament, the MTE, around Thanksgiving, and he wasn't shooting the basketball as well. Really found his stroke here in the last 9 or 10 games.
Here is Chico Carter. Has not quite been the same player since that rib injury sidelined him for 7 games. Has struggled to shoot the basketball. Fisher gets it back to Carter. And cans a three. He was out here before the game getting extra 3-pointers up. That's a good sign for the Blue Demons.
He was also out here for senior day, Matt. As you know, a little bit of extra energy and juice in the building, and teammates want to play for you to try to get a win on that last home game.
Offensive rebound from Ledlum. Leads to an open three, and it's cashed in by Jordan Dingle. And that is an area that St. John's crushed DePaul when they first met back on February the 6th. They had 19 offensive rebounds in their win against DePaul.
And those are the two guys you really have to respect from three, Dingle and Jenkins. Outside of that, St. John's really pounds the paint. Glenn Taylor knocked down a bunch of threes against Butler in the last outing.
Only threes have been taken. Their ability, and they have responded in a big way, playing what he calls true team basketball right now.
I think so, and the ringleader's been Dennis Jenkins, averaging almost 7 assists a game, and he really took it upon his shoulders to lead this team after coach's challenge.
A tough task for this team that had a heartbreaking loss to Georgetown about a week and a half ago. It's been a battle to keep their spirits up, and he wants to see that fighting spirit here for 40 minutes against St. John's.
Difficult situation anytime you get the interim tag. Try to keep everyone engaged and keep the energy in the building and make sure you have something to play for.
And there's a whistle.
See, St. John's was working on these inbounds plays prior to the game, and this is the guy, I think, establishing him early. Joel Soriano, a nice assist there to Chris Ledlum on the cut, but him touching the ball inside early, man, I think is a key for St. John's success as they continue to grow offensively. As he catches the ball, he knows that he's going to have cutters in action on the backside. Delivers a nice ball there for the layup. He's really grown in that area.
Oh, deep three. Chico Carter has a pair to start the game for DePaul.
I told you, Matt, be careful on senior day.
Laval, he came into the game 2 for his last 22 from downtown, coming off that rib injury. Looks a little bit different tonight,
and he competes.
Brings a good energy, too, to the practice facility, to the locker room. Type of guy that's always smiling and enjoying the process. There he is, posting up Joel Soriano. And that pass was tipped by Ledlum. And Taylor scoops it inside the Dingle for the two-hand jam.
DePaul will have to handle this pressure from St. John's early. They make it difficult to inbound the ball and kind of release after that. So if you can get it in, you can get down here and run your half-court offense.
Carter the kick out. KT Ramey from downtown. And that's something to say about it to the DePaul bench.
Yeah, it just can't help. You have to know the scouting report. KT Ramey, one of the better shooters, as you see. Offensive foul there.
And how it's transpired for this team.
Yeah, I think Coach, he apologized later for calling out guys by name. I think that's something that's meant for the locker room. As you see, led them there with the steal and the finish. But to challenge your team publicly, you know, you always say, hey, criticize in private and praise in public. But coach felt like they needed a challenge. I think, again, calling them out by name is what he kind of took back in the next press conference. But the guys, when you talk to their staff, namely Danis Jenkins, they took it personal and challenged each other to prove coach wrong. And that's what he was trying to get out of them in these last 3 games. That's what they've gotten, is a motivated group.
Churchill Abbas motivated to stay with it and lays it in after it looked like it might have turned over a couple of times on that possession.
And you're right, Matt. This DePaul group is motivated, coming out hitting their first 3 threes and playing with an energy that we haven't seen from them in recent games. And
Soriano goes to the hook shot. You know, the first time these teams met, although St. John's ended up winning by double figures, it was a 5-point game with 5 minutes left in the first half. DePaul ended up going 0 for its final 11 from the floor. St. John's pushed it to 9 and then quickly got it to double figures to start the second half. But there have been stretches this year where DePaul has competed. The question, can they put it together for 40 minutes? Carter lost it out of bounds. And it goes back.
Foot on the pedal, and you're assuming at some point DePaul will break down, but we'll see if they keep the energy up.
R.J. Lewis Jr. checking in for the first time tonight, takes it to the cup. Soriano unable to corral. Deshaun Nelson spin cycle, draws a foul. And if it's on Jenkins, that's his. Not pleased with that call.
No, it really looked like Danis was trying to move himself out of the way, and they
leads this team in assists, top 3 in the Big East. How long do you keep him on the bench here with 2 fouls?
Well, the thing is, they have other guys. Again, he's not a guy that has to score, but he does get their team organized. So, and now it's on the freshman, Simeon Wilcher, to come in, who's played well as of late. And you got a veteran guard like Naeem Aline, who just checked in and hit that one, he's been around the block and understands. So coach can be without Danis for a stretch here. It's on the defensive end where they'll miss him the most, Matt.
It's a DePaul team offensively that is 4 for 6 from the floor to start, including 3 made threes. Nelson into the teeth of Soriano, had it ripped away. Into Wilcher, and the foul before he could.
Twofold. One, it's Coach Pitino knowing his group and learning his group. Obviously, a lot of transfers, a lot of new faces. And over time, you learn what motivates them and pushes their buttons. And then also, those guys learning Coach Pitino. You see Simeon there with a good fake and how he is every day in practice, how he motivates his group. And now they knew what he was trying to do, right? And so those guys know what coach was meaning, what he meant, what he was looking for, and they responded.
And by all accounts, the leadership on this team sort of got everyone together after those comments to make sure that it wasn't taken too personally, but taken as more of a challenge, which is the way that Rick said he meant it to come off as. And the challenge was accepted. 3 straight wins for the St. John's team. 4 in a row would tie the longest win streak of the season. Chico Carter with 1. And the floater rims down. And Chico Carter on senior night is 3 for 3 from the floor with 8 points.
Yeah, I got my mama Nim and everybody in the stands tonight. Chico's trying to show out for mom and dad and his family that's here for senior day. I understand.
Good offensive rebound by Zumi Ejiofor. And last touch by.
It was a lot of individual development, and then it was working on them. When we were at their shoot around today, it was a lot of what they need to do. It wasn't as much scouting of DePaul. And so he's talking to them about their rotations out of the trap and what they do when they get an offensive rebound, finding daylight to help a teammate out. But Coach Pitino is all about, if we do what we need to do, that should be enough. Now they're switching 5 ways against the pick and roll.
From way downtown, Chico Carter, perfect from the floor with 3 triples. He's in double figures with 11.
And he had Zuby Ejiofor on the switch in the ball screen and just eyed him up and shot it from distance. Chico trying to go out with a bang.
He has scored or assisted on all 18 of DePaul's points. Playing in his final home game in Chicago. Nelson at 3.
And this is the Chico that they thought they were going to have all season. Obviously, he had to play out of position early. Nice post feed there by Naeem Aline. Good duck in by Zuby Ejiofor. Man, he brings a ton of energy when he subs in the game, doesn't he?
The junkyard dog, in the words of his head coach, Rick Pitino. A terrific transfer coming over from Kansas. Ejiofor, where he played sparingly on Kansas's NCAA tournament team. Nelson on the fadeaway, cashes in on the assist from Chico Carter.
That's the second time, Matt, they've taken advantage of the switch. St. John's adjusting their defense. The first time was small on big. Chico hit the 3. The second time was Deshaun on the post up against the guard.
Ejiofor back to the cup, draws a foul on Deshaun Nelson.
And so St. John's going to have to figure out how they're going to defend the pick and roll. You cannot go under on Chico Carter. Ball fans just thinking about what could have been. You know,
yes.
Injuries are a part of a season, actually, honestly. But and if had he been healthy, who knows, right?
And had he been healthy at the same time as Jalen Terry, who has the ball right now, who missed the first 8 games of the season and has been banged up here and there since. Those two have rarely played on the floor at the same time together, which is what they anticipated having. A true point guard and a true 2 in Chico Carter.
Yeah, certainly.
Dingle hesitates and floats it in with the left hand. And you want to talk about a guy who's playing uber well right now, Laval. 60% from the floor over the last 3 games for Dingle.
And it's taken him a while to find his footing and get comfortable in this new system. He's a documented scorer at the University of Pennsylvania, where he transferred in from.
Great take by Henley, who comes over from Minnesota.
And DePaul doing a good job. If you can conquer the initial pressure in the backcourt, once you get into the half court, they're doing a good job of breaking down this St. John's half court defense.
And coach, that's what they struggled with when these teams
defend without fouling, right? Their aggression sometimes can hurt them, that they get handsy or they get out of position and they foul.
Oh, that's a great pick by Ledlum. Takes it all the way with a jam.
But when they don't foul, they get some home run plays like we just saw.
Oh, and that goes off the foot of Chico.
Trying to get the ball inbounds.
Dingle elevates and hits in the mid-range. He has 9 points on 4 of 6.
And you look at his body language, Matt, he just looks comfortable right now. Like, he didn't have that look early on in the season watching them play. He was trying to figure it out, trying not to make a mistake, wondering where his shots were going to come from. Looking very comfortable at the moment.
And a travel. Floor 3 for 3 from downtown, has half of his team's points. As St. John's brings it up the floor. Still no Danis Jenkins for the Red Storm. Out with 2 fouls. And the rebound, Chico Carter. DePaul has turned it over 3 straight times. Carter, a heat check 3.
He earned that one. Be able to check the temperature right now is Chico Carter versus St. John's in the paint.
Dingle left open. He has been electric to start. 12 points for the former Ivy League Player of the Year and a 7-0 run for the Red Storm.
And I just love the look that Jordan Dingle has on his face right now. Just looks relaxed. You know, when you see a track athlete, Matt, you ran track, when they have their face isn't tight, they look relaxed. As a sprinter or a runner, just confident and calm, Jordan Dingle looks tonight.
I never look that way. That's why I'm sitting here.
You were a stressed out runner.
3 to shoot. Oh, Elijah Fisher hanging in the air, double clutch, puts it in off the window.
And Fisher has the ability to do that. You look at his body as a second-year player, to be able to absorb a contact and finish.
Brady Dunlap, the freshman, getting involved off the bench.
Just like Brady Dunlap has the ability to do that, you have to be connected to him coming off screens. And here's what they worked on in the shoot-around match.
No call, and Fisher breaks it. And now he's behind the play. Numbers for St. John's. Ledlam takes advantage, puts it in from downtown.
DePaul right now with 6 turnovers, Matt. But if you can, it just got past that initial pressure and got a layup. If you can break that, they can stay in this game with the way Chico Carter's playing offensively.
Looking for Carter, less than 10 to shoot. Has 11 in the game so far.
DePaul does not want this to turn into a track meet.
Or a three-point shooting contest,
yeah,
and a timeout taken to single digits before halftime.
And you look out right now, this last 5 minutes, Matt, is about body language. How's DePaul's body language and response coming out of that timeout, which was necessary.
Ramey off the bounce. Aline, turnaround jumper, rims in from the baseline. And Naheem Aline with 9 points.
It was kind of an odd shot by Naheem Aline, and a bit of a hope there from Chico Carter trying to keep his team in it. And
Ledlam got the friendly roll on the road. And now St. John's eating up DePaul in the paint on a 10-0 run.
The Mr. Reliable has received DePaul with another turnover.
This was a 2-point game at the 9-minute mark. St. John's has turned it up a notch. 10-0 run for a team that has won 3 in a row, playing their best basketball, certainly of the conference slate. And Jordan Dingle has been a big part of that, already 14 points in the first half.
Yeah, you just mentioned, Matt, playing their best basketball. Jordan Dingle is playing his best basketball right now in a St. John's uniform, at least. These last 3 to 5 games, he's been outstanding.
Carter started the night 4 for 4. He's cooled off a tad and left that one short, perhaps altered by Ejiofor.
Nice pass there. Subi Ejiofor with a dime. A lot of bigs can't play in the 5-out offense, and the good part of the portal. And check this out.
Said he knew Jordan Dingle was mature beyond his years when he learned as a 17-year-old freshman that his morning routine included an hour of full-body calisthenics followed by reading the Wall Street Journal. At 17, all about business.
I still haven't read the Wall Street Journal. Matt, maybe
me neither.
I need to get a subscription.
Yeah, exactly. The run continues for the Red Storm.
Do you read that?
No. I do read.
I also
for
didn't
those
go
of
to
you
Penn.
at home who are wondering if I do read.
And I'll tell you who, Naheem Aline has come in and done a good job in the absence of Danis Jenkins in this first half of just controlling the offense. See,
His last 3 games had 18 against Creighton in that huge win at the Garden. and had a season-high 22 in the win that preceded that against Georgetown.
Yeah, and he is just, he's found a different style than pressing and running and trapping for Coach Pitino. As Jeremiah Oden gets on the rim, and you see DePaul, when they do get past that initial catch, Matt, they can get good baskets.
I think it is a wide open tournament as far as seeds being able to beat one another in any given round.
No question. You look at Big East play this year, and you're hoping everyone will be healthy. Tyler Kolek out right now with an oblique injury. You want Marquette to be at full strength, and a lot of the other teams in the league, anybody can beat anyone on a given night. Seton Hall and Providence have got to be tough outs. And Butler can score the basketball, and obviously Creighton and Marquette and UConn at the top of it all, but it's gonna be a lot of fun, Matt.
In Georgetown, I know they've lost these two games that I'm about to talk about, but tonight they had Providence on the ropes for a long while in that game, and against Xavier, probably felt like they should have come away with a win in that game, up 15 at one point. They could be dangerous in the tournament.
Yep. The St. John's team obviously is probably going to need at least one game, maybe two, to really lock themselves into an NCAA tournament bid. Assuming that they get
in 3 of the last 5 games, including 15 points, 5 rebounds in the win at Butler, which was a month.
And St. John's came in and outwilled that Butler team to the point where they broke down and kind of gave in the second half, and the Johnnies dominated that one. So have a lot of guys hungry on this St. John's roster to play in their first NCAA tournament, and I think that is a big motivator down the stretch here. And what
NCAA tournament in the last 20 years. The most recent was 2018-19. Haven't won an NCAA tournament game since 2000. There are, beyond the players on this team, Laval, a lot of St. John's fans who are hungry to see this team get into the big dance and do damage.
Certainly, and the Big East contingency. Obviously, when St. John's is better, it's better for the conference, and to have them with the name recognition and the Garden, and Chico Carter trying to slide over, didn't get his feet set. And you have to get established to get that call.
Well, St. John's has done all of their damage without Danis Jenkins on the floor. Exited early with 2 fouls. They've gone on a 25-4 run and a 20-2 run in the first half. And now numbers again for the Johnnies. Here's Wilcher to Ledlum, and draws a foul, and now he's doubled over.
Had played against Coach Pitino's Iona team, so Coach had a familiarity with his game, coaching against him.
Forego the NBA draft and return, and so Chris Ledlum saw the writing on the wall, knew he wasn't going to be a starter there, went back into the portal, and as you mentioned, had that connection with Rick Pitino. They jumped on him right away, and he has been integral to this team's success as of late. Terry, a deep 3 off the mark. Rebound Ledlum, and St. John's sports information director for that Nugget. He is the guru of Big East men's basketball nuggets. So thank you, Rob, for being up with us for Big East After Dark. Danis Jenkins, first shot since seemingly the first couple of minutes of the game. Rims out. Lewis cashes in a 3 on a second effort, and now 10 second chance points for St. John's tonight.
Yeah, and the two things that this St. John's team is going to do, regardless of what's happening, they're going to continue to put pressure on you, and they're going to continue to crash the offensive glass relentlessly. And so you have to be locked in on every single possession to get your block out and finish possessions.
Oh, that was a nifty spin by Jaden Henley.
Yeah, Jaden Henley has that ability. He's played well as of late. He's actually their leading scorer in conference play, and he's had some good performances, double figures in the last 3 games.
Uh-oh. When St. John's is making threes, you've got problems.
Yeah, there's already enough to deal with in terms of taking care of the basketball and keeping them off the glass, and trying to keep them out of the paint. But when they start to shoot the basketball well, it makes it that much tougher.
Jenkins thought about it. Dingle had an excellent first half, 14 points. Gives it back up to Jenkins. Rebound Ledlum. And has a chance at 2 shots.
And you just get the feeling, Matt.
Well, Coach, there's certainly something to, although the committee no longer considers your last 6 game, and of course to the guard.
Well, coaches have started to figure out that a big part of the net ranking is margin of victory. So when you have an opportunity to really blow a team out and get a wide margin, it makes your metrics look better. For good, better, or for worse, obviously, a lot of coaches don't like that part because there is a sportsmanship component, but you're trying to get your team to show as good as they can on paper to the committee.
Churchill Abbas, a chance.
Stretches. And he's, for a young player with a freshman, that body, and you see his skill levels continue to develop, and he has good energy about him.
Three ball from Dingle downtown, and Jordan Dingle with 17.
A nice chin action there from Coach Pitino. St. John's looked like a Coach Beeline set.
What do you think it is for Jordan Dingle as of late? And I'm not talking just the last 3 games, but really over the last month, Coach.
Well, I think when you watch him play, Matt, when you're a shooter like that, knowing how you're going to get your shots and just getting comfortable taking those particular shots, the ball goes. Game reps and game shots, and I think that's a big part. And a lot of these sets in this offense, when he's looking to come off of these actions, are similar to things he did at Penn right there. It's like they run the chin action. He's looking for the backdoor option. It's not there. Now he gets to use the ball screen and play in the pick and roll. But those are things he did.
That's a great take by KT Ramey.
3rd in block shots. And this St. John's team does a good job of blocking shots, but Ramey there be able to get under and score and get to the line and get the free throw. Love the off-ball movement there from the St. John's offense. And
that's a foul on Ledlum.
All now needing to get some baskets on this end and maybe get disruptive on the other end. St. John's really comfortable operating in their half-court offense right now.
Floater from Ramey, no. Second effort stripped away by Danis Jenkins. And the lob, hammer time for Lewis. They have been lethal in transition tonight. Henley drew contact from Soriano, but he walled him off.
Yeah, good job of Joel Soriano playing verticality there.
Inside to Ledlum, bumped by Abbas. And that'll take us to a...
And there's about eight teams, Matt, that are still fighting for a chance. I think the Big East right now has 5 in for sure.
What do you think
but
the
then you have
to? You
Providence,
think 6, 7?
Hall in Nova had a huge win the other day to make their case over Providence, and now you got Providence and St. John's, Butler, Xavier, all couldn't get to Friday. I wanted to just let's get to Friday, man. Like Friday night, Madison Square Garden in New York. Oh my gosh.
Let me ask you this: the tournament. Who are you going with?
That's a good question. I tell you what, and not just because we're here. I think St. John's. I like because they have depth. I think when you have teams that can play without your best player, if something happens, right now, like Danis Jenkins being on the bench, Jordan Ward, they have a big that can dominate a game in Joel Soriano. They have a style that can be disruptive if they're not making shots. So if you're going to win 3 in a row, they're a team that could get hot and make a run.
And you've got a coach who's been there before.
If Pitino if he wears the white suit, Matt, no doubt about it.
Well, and it's a team that has something even more to play for. And of course, you know, playing at the Garden, how much more motivation do you really need in the Big East tournament? But as you mentioned in the first half, they probably need in the Big East tournament.
Yeah, Villanova just helped St. John's out.
Yeah.
By the way, with their win the other day, moving them into quad 1. Know how a team's season is going to play out. You just know when you played them at that point in time what they were supposed to be then.
Yeah, for a tournament, you want all your stars to be healthy,
Certainly.
particularly the reigning Big East Player of the Year.
It will be a fun 4 days.
Chico Carter's first points in the last 14 minutes. Remember, he started the game with 11 points in the first 8.5 minutes as Soriano got all of that alley-oop. And Chico Carter's hot start is what kept DePaul in it early. It was a 2-point game with 9 minutes to go in the first half. It has been all St. John's since then.
Joel Soriano still has another gear, Matt. He obviously, you know, he's a double-double machine. He's a guy you can go to on the low block. He hasn't been finishing as well lately as he has throughout his career. But he has another gear, and I think he controls the ceiling of the St. John's team. If they can get him going.
Oh, look at that. Soriano taps it out to Jenkins, who points right back to his teammate. Coach, there's a connectedness to this team right now that's hard to put into words, but you feel it being here in person.
Yeah, that's called 2 for $1. That last possession, Matt.
21 assists to 3 turnovers tonight for the Johnnies.
Yeah, and this is what they did that was impressive the other day against Butler. They only had 4 turnovers for that entire game in Hinkle Fieldhouse in a big-time dominant performance, really. And when you have a guy, you have 2 guys, Danis Jenkins, Jordan Dingle, when you get the bright lights and the big stage in Madison Square Garden, the Big East tournament, 2 guys that can really take over a game, especially Danis Jenkins. They're a dangerous team, Matt.
Jenkins only played 6 minutes in the first half. He's playing catch up here. Already 8 minutes in the first 7. Sorry, 8 points in the first 7 minutes of the second half. And there's a look at the push that resulted in a foul on St. John's. Jenkins will head to the bench. Got in his bag a little bit. He's in 11. He's in double figures with 11.
Well, you know, a guy like him, he's averaged double figures the last 3 seasons of his career at 3 different places, Matt, which is extremely impressive. And Chris Ledlam's done that twice in this game. He really has a good feel, anticipates really well. Defensively gives them a lot of versatility on that end of the court.
Off of 11 DePaul turnovers.
Well, they still have what's hurt them in the past has been shot selection, right? Poor shots that lead to transition offense. So when Coach Pitino called them unathletic and laterally slow, what he was really getting at, Matt, was if they can get teams to play against their half-court defense, they're better. But if they take poor shots and teams get runouts, they're not nearly as good. And now you're backpedaling and it's one-on-one, and that's hard for any team in the country. So their shot selection will determine a lot, and they're playing much more together and connected, knowing who should be shooting when. And then they're also their ability to take care of the basketball on that end of the court. And then defensively, to just not foul as much as they have in the past, right? They play an aggressive style of defense. But teams that are really sure and strong with the ball, they struggle to keep them off the foul line.
Well, Casey Jacobson talked about it earlier on tonight with Rob Stone in studio before the game. The shot selection for St. John's, to your point, has been a lot more selective. The threes that they're getting are open threes or tap outs or on ball reversals, but they're really pounding the paint And tonight that has been the case. 34 points in the paint, and it's opened up the three ball. 10 of 17 from distance.
And they've run a couple good flare actions. One just a minute ago for Simeon Wilcher, and ran a similar action for Jordan Dingle, but the inside out game is their game.
St. John's is drilling threes.
Get up and get a big lead like this. If you can lock in and stay in the moment, right, and get lost in this each and every possession to try to improve so that you're playing your best basketball here late down the stretch. Again, heading into this last game of the season and into New York.
And this is a team too, Laval, that's coming off a week layoff. Won 3 straight games, then had a bye week, got some rest. Took 1 day off and a light practice day next. So this is their first game action since they beat Butler at the end of February.
And they look fresh. Obviously, you have to practice. See Chico knocking another 3 down. But you have to practice, but you want to stay sharp. You don't want to overdo it. And you're trying to manage all of those things in that bye week, man. How much do we go? How long do we go? We don't want to lose what we had going. We have to stay sharp, but we also want to be fresh.
Carter lobs it into Nelson. Sent away by Wilcher. How about the play of the freshman in the second half? And here comes Wilcher. Rejected at the rim by Nelson. And Bedlam resets for St. John's. Aline will draw a foul, and it does go against Deschamps.
Once they can get that accomplished, it'll put you'll be above 500 in conference play and get a win in the Big East tournament. I think it sets you up now.
Georgetown in the regular season finale, that would get them to 19. And then if the seeding remains the same, they would be the 6. Georgetown would be the 10. They'd meet beg your pardon, they'd be the 7. Georgetown would be the 10. They'd meet again on the first day of the Big East tournament, and a win there gets them to 20.
Certainly. And obviously, you know, any loss in between now and then hurts you.
Right.
But and then if you get to Friday, if you win on Friday night, then obviously you have an obvious answer. But the Villanova win really helps. You look at across the country as who has 5 quad 1 wins. Their metrics are really favorable right now, and they've gotten St. John's is going the other way. They're picking up steam.
No doubt. Do you think it could be 7 if a dark horse wins the tournament?
No question. Yeah, if a Xavier or a Butler or someone picks it up and makes a run to Saturday night, then you're talking maybe 7 teams.
Bedlam, tough take, and the tap back is good by Zuby Ejiofor. You talked about the energy he brings to the floor when he comes off the bench, evident on that last play.
And you look at the depth of this St. John's team. I mean, when you have Simeon Wilcher and Naeem Aline as your backup guards, and you have Zuby Ejiofor coming in as your backup big man, as he commits the foul there in front of the ball. Right here, man, if he keeps sliding, he doesn't let Deshaun Nelson get under his armpit, you don't get that foul. But this St. John's team, I mean, and Simeon Wilcher's picking up confidence each and every time he steps out there. Brady Dunlap's helped them win some games earlier in the season. And Ejiofor is a guy that just knows his role. He talked about.
Chris Ledlam. He's getting everything tonight.
He's been living on the rim tonight. There that are having success at other destinations. You got Ponce Alexander at Butler, David Jones at Memphis, Johnson, Omar Stanley's doing well out at Boise State. I mean, they've got a number of guys that left to bring in a new group and do it in a new way. And you're starting to see it, the dividends of all the work they put in to get to this point pay off.
And the one other guy that stuck around, Drissa Traore, is about to check into the game, but you're right. Joel Soriano, the only starter coming back. I thought it was interesting. You asked Coach Pitino about his relationship with Joel. So much trust there. Named Joel a captain very early on after taking the job, and has pushed him incredibly hard. That's part of the reason why Joel decided to stay, because he wanted to be coached in ways that he had not yet been coached in his basketball career.
Certainly, to get the best out of him. In his game, he doesn't score it like he has in the past, but other parts of his game have really developed. And I'll tell you what, Simeon Wilcher has now knocked down 3 threes in this half, Matt.
He's not messing around.
And he's going to be a problem for the Big East moving forward. If this and you think about what he has to do now is not play behind Danis Jenkins, which is really hard for any freshman. And most in the country, with the portal open these days, would transfer, right? And he has to accept that role and wait his turn, kind of old school, developmental, and build a program knowing next year is going to be my time.
Offensive foul drawn by Henley. That takes us to immediate timeout. There's been a whole...
He had 6 couple big baskets in that Creighton game, and you can see his confidence growing.
Rick Pitino also told us in all his years as a head coach, he never recalls telling a player, next year you'll be a starter no matter who I bring in. He said, I could bring in Magic Johnson next year, you're still going to start.
At the beginning, he did say,
yes, it's
your job to keep the spot.
Yeah. He's running the point here. 3 threes in the second half for Wilcher. It's so interesting. You know, Rick Pitino's been in the game for a long time, over 70 years old, but he continues to adapt with the times. And given the era of at the end of 1 year, so Rick Pitino re-emphasizing to him not only the importance of his role this year, but of course going forward, an expanded role at St. John's in the years to come.
And I think guys, now the honesty level, I don't know that depth at the highest levels will be what it used to be, because guys can transfer and not be the options. 8th, 9th man.
Right.
And they can go somewhere else and be a starter. NIL is obviously a factor in the entire thing. So, you know, the landscape has changed, and you either embrace it or just find something else to do, right?
Do you think that helps parity in college basketball?
Certainly. Yeah. You look up now and you see Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper going to Rutgers, right? 2 of the top players in the country. And in the past, as you know, those guys are probably going to be at Kansas, Duke, Kentucky.
Sure,
some of the mainstays that we call blue buds, but the game has changed now. And you get older, guys that have proven themselves at lower levels can come up. And Danis Jenkins was playing in Iona last season.
And what a career he has had. I mean, this is a guy that began his college career in the West Coast Conference at the University of the Pacific. Then he goes to junior college, gets back into the portal. Rick Pitino finds him, brings him to Iona, was one of the top players in the MAC tournament MVP, and now Tyler Kolek, reigning player of the year, transferred in from George Mason.
It's just the new day and age. Enormous way. And Marquette, obviously Shaka hasn't done a lot with the portal. He's really intent on building through relationships and their culture and development. And obviously Ed Cooley's talked about hitting the portal for next season. You know Georgetown will be back.
And that's probably what DePaul is going to have to do going forward too. They've hit the portal hard the last couple of years. Obviously, there will be a new coaching staff next season. A number of these players who were celebrated on senior night tonight out of eligibility, so at least those spots will need to be filled with portal players. And on the one hand, Laval, for programs that are trying to rebuild, like DePaul, like Georgetown, it can help you rebuild quickly. And the same could be said for St. John's with all the players they lost to the portal, as you referenced a couple of minutes ago, who are playing significant roles on other teams. Rick Pitino brought in 10 transfers this year. Really impressive how they've gelled at the end of this season, particularly at a time when things were not going their way.
Yeah, it's taking time. And when you think about what people would say about Eric Musselman and his teams in past seasons, right? He did a lot with the transfers, and it took time. And in late February and March, you can see them come together and make runs. This Pitino team here is similar to one of those, Musselman teams at Arkansas, where it's taken time, but now they're finding a good groove here down the stretch. Villanova, same way. It's taken time, right, Kyle? Neptune's brought in the transfers. TJ Bamba and Burton, all of those guys have come in, and it didn't start off the way that it's ending. And you just want to be your best team right now, Matt.
Chico Carter having a heck of a night. 23 points, 1 point shy of his career high.
Houston and Purdue are right at the top with 10 each.
Yeah.
But if you're in the top 20 of quad 1 win, when you look at their schedule, no quad 3, no quad 4 losses for either. There's a quad 3 loss for St. John's.
And that was the Michigan game.
That was the Michigan game. You didn't know at the time that would be a quad 3.
Well, at the time, it seemed like not a bad loss. And then Michigan just had an abysmal season.
Certainly.
In the Big Ten.
Look at a Providence team that's won 5 quad 1s, and they're 5-8, and no bad losses. So it'll be interesting on Selection Sunday. But if either one of these teams, I believe, can get to that 20 win with the resume that they have already, I think they both get in. Obviously, huge game for Providence on Saturday at home.
No doubt.
Against the Huskies.
And a big game for St. John's on Saturday against Georgetown at the Garden. If we get them to 19 wins, they have not been to an NCAA tournament since 2018-19.
Villanova's the one that they have the 4 quad 1 wins, but they also have 3 losses against quad 3 opponents. They did themselves a favor going on the road and winning last weekend at Providence.
How much weight do you put as a former player and coach in this league? How much weight do you put on having a win streak of a significant length going into tournament play?
Well, I mean, it's you want to be playing well at that time. Obviously, you built up a resume of some sort up until that point, but you want to be playing well heading into the Big East tournament. You want to be playing your best basketball, in March after Valentine's Day, really, and just trying to be able to play your best when your best is required. And as much as coaches as we don't like to think about it, it's about every day, and you want to get better every day. March is when you get evaluated at the highest. So you're just trying to get your team to be hitting on all cylinders this time of year.
Well, St. John's has tied a Big East high with 104 points. And it doesn't seem that they're going to try to break it here tonight, but we have seen a record-breaking type of performance from this St. John's offense. The first time they've hit 100 since 2021, and their win streak extends to 4 in a row. It ties their